space and space. Embrace your beauty, shine bright. Stand tall on your light tonight. Let go of the doubts, let them fade. Each unique spot is story made. Embrace your beauty, shine bright. Stand tall on your light tonight. Embrace your beauty, shine bright. Stand tall on your light tonight.
Hi everyone, welcome to the video and to my channel Bookcase, where I will be doing all things book related, including book recommendations and book reviews. This is going to be episode 1 in what I'm hoping is going to be quite a long series of book reviews, and the first book that I'm going to be reviewing in this video is The Killer in the Cold by Alex Pine. I can't wait to get into this review because I loved this book so much. It got to a point where I could not put it down. I would like to preface this video by obviously saying that there may be spoilers, so if you're planning on reading this book for yourself, then maybe don't listen to certain parts because I may do spoilers. I haven't quite decided yet. What I would like to say first about this book is I brought it from The Works. It was part of their 3 for, at the time, £6 range. So I picked it up because it really did intrigue me. I did not realise it was part of a series of 5 books, and this is actually book 5. So if I had done my research, I would have obviously known that I was reading book 5 before reading the other 4 parts. I have since purchased the other 4 parts. In fact, my current read is book 1, The Christmas Killer. Now, without further ado, let's get on and answer some questions about this book. So the first question on this list, just reading off this list, is what did you like best about this book? And I think what I liked about this book the best was that just as you feel like you figured it out and worked out who the killer is, there was some sort of curveball, some sort of twist, and then you would realise that actually maybe you were wrong, maybe you were going down the wrong path, jumping to the wrong conclusion, maybe that it actually could be that it was this person instead. And I feel like it kept you on your toes, it kept you guessing, which then obviously makes you want to read it more because you're desperate for answers. You just need to know who is the killer. Okay, so the next question in the list that I'm going to answer is which characters in the book did you like the best? I would say that quite an obvious choice. I would say definitely James Walker, the lead detective. I feel like he was the one that was the most, you got to see him and have him the most in this book. But then also I quite liked his wife Annie. I liked how this book would occasionally switch from James's perspective to Annie's perspective, and you kind of got to see what it was like as the wife of a detective. I thought that was quite a cool, nice little touch. I would say that the characters in there, I liked them, but there wasn't like, I didn't feel like I built like a very strong, like, you're my favourite character, if that makes sense. It was kind of like, they're great characters, but there wasn't a standout really, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, so the next question on the list talks about what your favourite quote is from the book, and I can't pinpoint a specific quote from this book that I would say stands out the most to be my favourite, but what I will say is that from chapter 76 onwards is my favourite part of the book, because that is where the confession happens. We find out who the killer is, why they did what they did, how the murder happened, and all the questions that you have built up throughout the other chapters in the book are finally answered in this one and these couple of final chapters. And I think that was my favourite part of the book, because I was so desperately needing answers. I needed to know what had happened to poor Nigel and Elizabeth Booth. The next question is, would you read another book by this author? And I think I've already answered that one, as my current read is also by Alex Pine, and it's book 1, The Christmas Killer. I have absolutely fallen in love with this series. I think that Alex Pine's writing is just captivating. It grips you from page 1, and then it gets to a point in the book where you can't put it down. So I'm absolutely loving this book. I loved The Killer in the Cold, and I also do have the other 3 books in this series, and I also did some research and found out there is going to be a 6th book coming out later this year, which obviously I will be adding to the collection, and I'm very, very excited about that. So absolutely, I would read more books by Alex Pine, and I highly recommend that you do the same. Okay, the next question is, what did you think about the book's length? Now, as you can see, it is quite a long book. There is a total of 80 chapters, and then you have the epilogue, so call it 81 chapters, 366 pages. Now obviously that is quite a long book. However, the chapters in this book are very short. They're like mini chapters. So for example, chapter 9 starts at page 42 and finishes on page 46. That made it very, very easy to read for me, because I didn't feel like I was sitting there going, how much longer is this chapter? Because when I read chapter to chapter. I do a chapter and then I decide, do I want to do another one, or am I gonna get on with my other task for the day? So the fact that the chapters were shorter meant that I felt I could sit there for longer and read more, and I felt more accomplished, like I read more, because I've got through several chapters instead of 2 long chapters. Okay, the next question is, if you had the chance to ask the author one question about this book, what would it be? And I think I would ask the author why he chose the person he did as the killer, because for me, the killer was very unexpected. I would have never suspected this person to be the killer, and it wasn't until the confession that the pieces really started to fit. So I would definitely want to know what the thought process into deciding that is going to be the killer. Was it that you wanted it to be the least suspecting person, or I don't know, what was the motive behind making the killer who they decided the killer was going to be, basically. The next question goes into talking about the book's cover and what you think of that. Now, I am quite guilty. I am drawn to the cover of books because I feel like when there's a pretty cover, or a really draws your eye in, draws your attention cover, I'm more inclined to want to buy it, because it also looked really nice displayed on my bookshelves. So I definitely am guilty of judging a book by its cover, but I feel like this cover, it sets a really eerie kind of vibe and tone for the book, and it's very kind of, the writing feels very to the point. There's no beating around the bush with it. It's very direct, and I feel like I just really like this cover. Overall, I would highly recommend The Killer in the Cold if you are into anything to do with crime fiction, murder, mystery, thriller type book. This is definitely the book for you, but make sure you do your research. If you are wanting to read them in the books in order, then you obviously need to start here with The Christmas Killer, where you're first introduced to the characters that you then have in book 5. So I would definitely urge you to do your research before you start to read the book, just to make sure you're reading from the beginning. But I would highly recommend this book to anyone who likes the genres that I've previously mentioned. So that's going to be all for today's book review. Thank you all so much for watching, for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for future videos on book reviews and all things book related. And do let me know if you give The Killer in the Cold by Alex Pine a read and what you think. Let me know in the comments down below. I'm very much interested to know your thoughts. See you all later.